Okay.
I'm
All right.
calling
So
them,
we're going live here. We are late and we're here.
fast and furious. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So,
That's okay.
oh my God. Yeah. You just ever have one of those days, you guys? It's like, and it wasn't even a day, it was a moment. It was literally a moment about 20 minutes ago that turned into a 20-minute moment. So here we
Yeah.
are. I'm
Yes.
Dr. Paula Ruffin, and this is Chiropractic is Sexy. And we are also with,
I'm Dr. Erica Peabody, and it is. So one of the greatest parts I think about, well, it's a benefit and a downfall about entrepreneurship. And I was in it, thick in it on Friday night, last Friday. Is like you just do it anyway. You just do it anyway. Like it doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't like you just keep stepping. You step in and you just keep stepping. So we're here. We're late. We're here. It's all good.
my
Yeah.
God. And it's, I think it's such a great lesson because you were like, well, let's not go live then if it's that big of, like if I'm really feeling the angst. But I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I think that's one of the things that I'm looking up at my camera, not at my
Yeah.
phone. I
There we
think
go.
that's one of the things that has been unique about what we've been able to bring to this show and our people is that how many times have we jumped in here not perfect, completely sideways, screeching in, and
Yeah.
just made it happen anyway. So, I really want people to feel our behind the scenes struggles when they happen,
Yeah.
and just how we adapt, because
Yeah.
I do think that's a pretty important lesson. So, I want to thank everybody. And it's just yeah, I couldn't get my camera to work, I couldn't get my mic to work, the computers were, it was literally every digital thing that was going wrong could go wrong. Someone told me that the northern lights would affect some digital things, but
Maybe.
it,
I mean, there might be Mercury retrograde, but I do have to say this. So I saw my last patient walk in at 12:53, and she was at the desk talking to, so she's a chiropractor, but she was talking to one of my patients who used to be one of her patients years ago. She's been in practice for 30 years. So they're chatting out there and it's 12:53, and I'm like, how, like she's got to adjust, I got to adjust her and she's going to adjust me, and I just got adjusted by Dr. Paula yesterday. But I got to tell you, every time a chiropractor walks in here, I don't care who it is, I'm getting on the table and they can check me. Oh,
100%.
did you freeze? Don't freeze on me.
Yeah, no, I know, right?
Don't
No,
freeze
no,
on
no
me.
freezing, no freezing.
But here's the thing. So anyway, we've been following each other's journey for a while, and she's 30 years into practice, or 35, something like that. And she does one of these numbers to me. And I was like, she she just got engaged to this guy that they met back in high school or college, and they took this long break, and she went and had 4 kids of her own. They reconnected 2 years ago, all of this stuff. And I am in tears. I am like astounded and so excited for her. So it might have been her that created your technical difficulties, because the universe needed me to have enough time to feel into her excitement, because I followed her journey and I was like in tears and like full body chills. And
Oh
she's
my
going to be
gosh.
moving up north, and she's got to, transition over her 35-year practice now and all these things. So I'm like breathing. And this is what I want to talk about. I want to mention today, and we'll get into the principle, of course, too, is breathing oxygen into possibilities, which ultimately every adjustment does that, breathes
Mhm.
into the stuck areas, oxygen of possibilities. And I was also thinking as you were talking about it, like your life went haywire, your technical difficulties and all the things, except for you had bandwidth to still be able to recover, make this quick recovery. That's so much part of how you fueled yourself. Like you made it into work early today. Like you woke up at 6 o'clock, like super rested, and all of these ways that help you have the bandwidth to be like, us, like the crap is going, I'm trying not to swear. Crap's going sideways. Let's do it anyway.
You guys would hear like a whole bucket full of probably F-bombs if we were not live. So yeah, use your imagination for sure.
Yes.
And
But
I
it was really lovely because I had a couple extra minutes and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So I show up to my screen at 1:07 And you're like, I've already called you. And I'm like, I was like, ah! And then meanwhile, I'm thinking I'm late and I'm going to walk in and meanwhile you're late. So I think it's divine timing
And you know
for
what?
both of us.
What a great takeaway from that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And again, just going back, I remember the first time that, I mean, I always love doing videos, being on camera, but then there was that first time when you really had to like lean into it to do a live, right? So when you think about, when I remember it was my first Facebook Live, and they said at the time, which I don't know where it compares to now, but at the time, almost 20 years ago, about 15 years ago, probably, that Facebook was equivalent to like the third largest country in the world. That's how
Yeah.
many people were on the platform. And so I was like, oh my God, and then a friend of mine was like challenging me to go live. So I was like, and I was having like a panic attack. I was sweating, I was shaking because I wanted it to be perfect.
Mhm.
Now, I have to tell you, and people usually say your first videos are awful, don't think they're good. But I have to say, for my first video, I think I did pretty darn good. It still gets a ton of views today. However, one of the other things, though, in that moment was that I always thought it had to be perfect.
Mhm.
And I lived with that for so long, is right. So it's progress, not perfection,
Mhm.
ultimately, right? Just do it. Like, just get it done. It doesn't have to be perfect. So again, coming into this moment, screeching in sideways and finding the lessons in, like you say, the recovery, the adaptability.
Right.
I think there's so much to be said for that. And then also to be able to help inspire people that please don't think you have to be perfect. Don't think we're sitting up here, we just are seasoned, right? So we have the ability and the capacity to do what we do because we practice it. And that's really for everybody, is that the
Mhm.
more you practice it, the stronger you build that muscle, the more opportunity you'll have to be adaptable for whatever the situation
Yeah.
is. So, but yeah, I think it's a great lesson. So thank you
Mhm.
for saying that.
Yeah, we just keep going. Um, lots of different things have gone on at my building. I have a 10,000 square foot wellness center. My chiropractic office is just part of that. But over last week, a couple weeks ago, the city's like, beating down my door to fix up the carriage house and blah, blah, blah that's outside. And so I had this dumpster delivered so that they could re-roof the carriage house. And so I asked the guys, I said, hey, when you're done with the dumps, can we get the biggest dumpster ever? When we're done with the dumpster and the roofing, can I have it for a couple of extra days? I have a bunch of stuff that I need to throw in there. So, and then I said, you know what, while I'm at it, can some of your crew, can I pay them a couple extra hours and can I get some muscle to help me load the dumpster with a bunch of other stuff that was in the carriage house, right? So Friday, they roll in with the dumpster at 7 o'clock in the morning. I show up at 7:30. They're getting it situated. They rolled in with their shingle excavator elevator thing that they put all the shingles up the day before. Like all this stuff is happening. And 5 o'clock rolls around on Friday. They're finishing up 5:30. They leave. I leave. I got to nourish myself. I wasn't here the whole time, but I was doing a bunch of other stuff. I showed up back here at 7:30 and I'm like, okay, got a couple options here. I could wait and bank on maybe a couple of these guys are going to be able to help me in the next day or so, probably not through the weekend, maybe Monday or Tuesday, or I just start loading it. So for 2 hours, it was 2 solid hours. Um, 580 calories is what my Aura ring registered. And I just did all the things and I just kept going. And there's something to be said for our particular generation, but also those that are graduating high school. Like there's such a difference there of like what you're really willing to do. And this goes for health, for life, for business, for our families, for all the things. It's like, what are we willing to do to get stuff done? And how much energy and how resourced are you to be able to do that? Now, this isn't like a toot my own horn, but that's a lot of work at the end of a day, the
Oh
end of a
yeah.
week to just, I'm going to show up till it's dark and I can't see anymore. and I'm gonna fill this dumpster. So hopefully on Monday, I can get this dumpster and this block in my parking lot freed up for everybody else to be able to get in. And it's like, what will you do for yourself? What will you do for your life? What will you do for your family? What will you do for the people watching us? Like, what are you willing to do to have an extraordinary life?
I love it. I didn't realize you had done that. I don't know if you left me a video on that or not, but I also think too that that's part of the drive, because it's not necessarily what you had to. Oh God, I keep looking at the wrong
I know.
camera. I know, I'm like right here. Let me take the camera down so I don't keep looking at it.
There you
So
go.
I realized my USB 3 cord is plugged into a USB 2 port. I figured that out. So I need to crawl down under the desk and change ports. I'm not doing it right now. Anyway, but I also think that this brings us to, yes, you needed to do that in the moment, but it's not what you had to do there. It's what you had to do next.
Mhm.
And so when we
Yes.
really prioritize what we have to do next,
Mhm.
it's easy to then say, I got to get back to the office and spend 2 hours on a Friday night here and clean this shit out. Right. So yes, yeah, you had to do that in the moment, but it was really the bigger vision of what's
Yeah.
down the line
What's
from
next?
getting in and doing that. So
Yep. And I was resourced enough because I do spend a lot of my time taking care of my body. So I wasn't failing, and I was a little bit sore the next day, but it was like, I train daily. I'm working out daily in some way, some capacity, so that when life calls me to that, I've got enough water in my system. I'm hydrated enough. I've been adjusted a couple times last week. I'm, all the things, like I'm doing all the eat well, move well, think well, drink, get your rest, get your water, and get adjusted. And what's important now and what's important next. One of the coaches in our profession always talks about those phrases, like what's important now and what's important next. So yeah, it's great. It's great too. So
yeah. And that's having that, having a plan. Sometimes it's let's just jump and see the net, we'll wait for the net to appear. I love those moments too. And then I love having the times when we're planned out. I think, most of the time, I think that as entrepreneurs, as busy entrepreneurs, that we have our plan, we're
Mhm.
going forward with our plan. So it makes those Hail Mary moments that much more, we feel more confident, right? Like, listen, I got everything else planned. I know it's going to work out. So I'm going to jump right now, and I know it's going to work out for me. So, like you're saying, the universe lined up because I was having technical
Yeah.
difficulties. You were having a wonderful moment with a friend, and
Mhm.
now here we are.
Yep.
So
That's great.
yeah. And Uncle Al, I hope you're okay. We send you much love. So
Yeah, for
yeah, goodness,
sure.
thanks for being here.
I
Glad
know.
we could be
I
part
was
of your healing.
glad you're here. Yes, and do all the things to recover. So I'm super glad you're here listening.
Absolutely.
Just to let's see, evidence of life was 18. So number 19, organic matter, the material of the body of a living thing is organized matter. I mean, kind of goes without saying, really. 88 years old body with a lot of damage. Yes. Yeah. So there you go. Organic matter is organized.
Yeah,
65.
I'm 65. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
You're feeling much older than you are.
Yes. I think we all do at a certain point, it's like there's a great meme out there that was like, remember when you could get up without making noises?
Yeah.
When you could
Right.
stand up or get up out of bed without having to make a noise?
Yeah. I always laugh in yoga, those first few sun salutations, and all you hear is click, pop, crack,
Oh,
click, but
it's so hard sometimes to get moving in those classes like that. Holy cow.
and it feels so good when you're done.
It does.
Movement is so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So read that again. So
Okay.
what's our
The
principle? Which
material
one are we
of
on? Are we on
number
18?
19, organic
Okay.
matter.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can you hear the sirens?
I
Sorry.
can. Yeah.
That's
No,
probably
it's
so
fine.
loud. I'm right downtown too. Okay. The material of the body of a living thing is organized matter. That's all it says.
Okay. I think that's so simple
Mhm.
because we talk about this and how let's just go back. Two cells came together and divided and divided and divided to create this organized matter. I mean, yes, people, babies are born with birth defects, but the percentages are so small in comparison to the organized matter.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, this is intelligence, right? If we did not have intelligence in the universe and within ourselves, within whatever realm lives beyond us, we wouldn't look like this. Our noses would be over here. We'd have an arm sticking out of our head.
Right.
Yeah.
That's simple. That the simplicity of this particular principle, I'm so glad it gets its own moment, because
Yeah.
we don't, yes, like you said, there are abnormalities, birth defects, or birth changes, different, but we have our ears on the side of our head, and we have our mouth in the middle, and it has all the parts and pieces to be able to chew our food and to talk and all the things. Like, it just, the fact that this gets a whole entire episode is pretty awesome.
I know. I love it. Well, and I'm also thinking that when we think about the human race, that every human is born with a head, two arms, two legs. Every human is born with the same set of anatomical features, right? It's just how it all looks different. Every dog and cat or mammal, non-human, they're all born with four legs, quadruped, except for like monkeys, but they'll still be quadruped too, but you get the idea, right? It's like when we start to look at different species, they're all bees are all the same, but each little bee is a little bit different. And that's by design, right? Because as humans, we need to be able to move through the world with certain abilities and capabilities. Animals need to go through the world with certain abilities and capabilities. So I think that's really, when we think about how as humans, we're all organized in the grand pic. It's like car, Ferrari, Ford Explorer. You know what I mean? Like all cars have, they have four wheels and an engine. It's just a matter of the difference. They're all designed to drive. They're all designed to move. But the intelligence of how all of that was orchestrated and organized is, look at us.
And when you talk about a car, there was plans for a car. There was engineering that went into the car. There was technicians that were involved. There was testing involved, and all of that. Like, that is all. We have the same thing, only it's our brain and spinal cord. So the brain's the very first thing to form. The spinal cord's the second thing to form. And then off of that, our innate intelligence moves through all of that in order to create the organization. So when the fetus is in utero, it doesn't have to think about, okay, now this needs to go here and this needs to go there. Like, that's the innate intelligence and the organization that is in the blueprints, much like if you were building a car, like it had to have a way to build it in order for it to go.
And why did it give us this automatic, right? The autonomic nervous system. Why did it give us that? Why didn't innate intelligence say, you better be thinking about keeping your heart beating. You better be thinking about keeping your lungs breathing. You better be thinking about digesting your food. We don't have to think about any of this stuff. And I think that's also where we take for granted of how we abuse our bodies in today's world, right? Standard American diet and lack of activity and all of that. We're like, because if you had to pay attention to your heart beating and your lungs breathing, you would be moving your ass every single day.
Right.
You would be moving and exercising. You certainly wouldn't be smoking, because you would be like, oh, wait, no, I gotta, you would be more conscious of the decisions that you made, or the decisions you're making, if you had to be thinking constantly about how you kept your engine rolling, right?
Can you imagine? We would not survive for we wouldn't survive for 1 minute.
No.
We really wouldn't. Like,
No.
how many times does my heart need to beat right now? no idea. I have no
Right.
idea. And how do I make it adjust accordingly? How do I put an oxygen sensor somewhere in my body so when I'm moving it faster and using oxygen faster, I'll speed up my heart rate and I'll speed up my respirations? How, we couldn't figure that out if we
No
tried.
way. No.
There's no way we could be responsible for that. And our nervous system controls and coordinates that. And when Dr. Paula said the word autonomic nervous system, it's goes to a lot of the things that we never have to think about. I don't have to, and I would never eat Cheerios. But if, let's just say I'm eating Cheerios in the morning, like how does that become finger tissue? How does that become bone tissue? How does that become, how do we take those things, break them down, and put them places to build our body? Does anybody know how to do that? Does anybody have the recipe? Anybody out there, please? We don't. And we
It's a
need to be able
great
to.
metabolic question.
I know.
Right?
What's the recipe to break down? And I'm only saying Cheerios because everyone knows Cheerios.
Yeah.
But what's the recipe to take this water and put it into my body? How do I get it out to my, how do I do that? How do I get it to my cells?
Isn't that crazy? Anybody want to answer? Do we have any microbiologists?
Do we have anybody
house?
out there? Oh my gosh. It just takes me like itchy
And if
scratchy
you
into
had to think
organic
about it,
chemistry.
right?
I just went to like itchy scratchy organic chemistry that we had to
Like
take.
think about if you felt your cells dehydrating,
Yeah.
if you felt your mitochondria, the engine of your cell, if you felt that being sluggish and like spewing exhaust, I would think that you would pay more attention to the water you drank or the fluids that you put in, or how you took care of your cells. Because I had this conversation with a patient this morning, and we've done 3 body comp tests on her so far. She's coming in for nutrition and weight loss. And I told her, she came in, she's metabolically unfit.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, she said, well, how is this? So in 6 weeks, she's lost 7 pounds, right? And she's like, no, this is good. This is good. But you can tell she wants to lose weight faster, right? And but we also both agreed that taking a drug to do that is not the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, no, we're in the right direction. Well, when we do the body comp test, it's 5 pounds of fat, and she lost 2 pounds of fluid and retained all of her muscle mass. So this is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So then she actually said to me, she goes, how's that happening? She goes, how, because I kept saying you are going from metabolically unfit to metabolically fit.
Right.
It's going to take time. And she goes, how is that happening? I go, it's a great question. And I said, all I know is that we're improving your body's efficiency. That's all. I go, I can't explain it to you from a microbiology perspective, but what I can say to you is this is the kind of forward movement and process that takes place when the body functions the way it's supposed to. It's going to release weight that it doesn't need when it has all the nutrients, all the fluids, the proper bugs in the gut. And that's what we're looking to do.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's pretty cool. I go, yeah, it's really friggin' cool.
It is cool. And
right?
our world is so focused on just the scale number. Okay.
Yeah.
So as you're talking about body composition like that, so you're decreasing the fat, you're increasing the muscle, you're taking a bunch of water off of the system. But guess what? Add that to times that by a year, times that by 2 years, times that by 5 years, times that by 10 years. And guess where her next decade is going to look for her brain health, number one, but also just her longevity. Like as we're aging, and all of us, I mean, I don't know how old everybody is on here, but I'm in my 4th decade. Dr. Paula's in her 5th decade, and we're hoping to age in reverse, but we're doing it by building good quality muscle, feeding our bodies with good quality food, moving our joints in every which direction. If you go to some of the yoga classes that Dr. Paula and I swear by, you would be like, there's no other class, there's no other exercise system on the planet that moves the joints in all those directions and all of the joints. And you just can't get it aside from yoga. Like, you can't get it in a regular workout at the gym. And so all of these things are leading to that internal resilience. And that's so awesome that this woman then you can just set the scale number aside. And then you can say, okay, regardless of that, my body feels good. My brain feels better. I have more energy 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm sleeping better. My immune system's stronger. Like, it
Yeah, we're
doesn't
only
get
6 weeks in.
sexier than that.
Nothing sexier than
Nothing
that.
is sexier than that. Nothing.
Well, and I'll tell you something else about her too, is that she has really bad acne, or I'm going to
Mhm.
say had. Now, you guys, I'm telling you, this is only 6 weeks, and I promise you, it takes at least 6 months to start turning the gut back to where it
Mhm.
needs to be.
Yep.
But so many people, I have many, many patients who come in with severe cystic acne, and they're given Accutane, which is an extremely dangerous drug. It
Extremely.
not only does it cause fertility issues, but it
It changes the
damages your gut.
DNA. It
Oh, it's
damages the DNA of the body. That's
horrible.
not okay.
No. And so this woman, she was saying, I'm considering going on Accutane. And I said, no, no, no. I go, let's not do that. Well, she had her first menstrual cycle since we were working together. And she said, no, she goes, I did break out, but not nearly as bad. And she came in today and, she's scarred from all the acne that she's had, but there were no blemishes on her
Mhm.
face. I go,
So
look at your
awesome.
face. She goes, I know. She goes, I've never seen it this clear. This is
Aw.
because she's becoming metabolically fit,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So and that's really where the push. So yeah, we are perfection. And in those cases, the organization of acne on her face is because of her body not being metabolically fit. So if we
Right.
just move you into that direction, the body will then reorganize where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Reorganizing body composition, like you said, losing 5 pounds of fat, couple pounds of fluid, maintaining muscle.
Mhm.
That's reorganizing in the proper direction for this could be my second favorite principle, I think.
I know, for sure. Well, okay, so I have a story of a patient this morning. Now, I've been seeing this patient for at least 15 years, at least. And she's been through some things with her children. I want to say she's mid 70s, but don't quote me on that. Actually, let me just look really quick.
I like when you
Just-
say it's in the decade of,
yeah,
in
let's
her
see.
seventh decade.
She's 72.
Okay.
She has started under care. Her first visit was actually, it looks like she's been under care almost 10 years. So December 2nd of 2015 was her first visit. And I could give you a lot more details about her. But anyway, over the last 3 months, she has slowly and surely developed this inability to use her arms. It started with weird numbness, heaviness, like a stenosis, a tightening of the spinal column that led to just like this heaviness. Her arms were getting heavier like by the day. And it's progressed over the last 3 months. We sent out for imaging because this usually doesn't go this direction.
Right.
It usually goes the other direction. But when I'm seeing this, I'm like, after it's a couple weeks in, like she's like, oh, my arms are really tired now. Like now I can't sleep in bed. My arms hurt so bad. Both of them bilateral, which is another indication. And she's turning like gray and she's got big dark circles under her eyes now and all of this. So I just saw her this morning. I haven't seen her in 2 weeks. But she went in, she had to go back to her MD. So this is like a time and place, of course, always to be co-managing, right? So she was diagnosed with polymyalgia rheumatica, and she was put on prednisone. And so she's like, I've been doing everything right. We've been getting adjusted regularly. She's done that for years. But I got to tell you guys, so 2.5 years ago, she lost her adult son, married to a woman. They have twins. So she doesn't have, bless you. So she had that trauma just 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember exactly the day. When her daughter was 14, she went through this major psychological disorder, all these things. And she's still working with mental health issues. And I said to her, here's the thing. You've had this low grade. This isn't because chiropractic can fix everything. I'm like, you need to get cervical traction. You need to start opening the space. Like, she works out regularly. She's in good shape. But I'm like, these things build up. We have that low grade subconscious stress on a continual, regular basis can lead to serious disease processes, so she had to get on a steroid. But it's also like, this is the time and place for something like that to help bridge. But also, it'd be really awesome to start to work into the mentation of life, that deep physical, mental, and social well-being. It's the tamas, toxins, and thoughts that can really be so detrimental on your health. And I'm literally looking at her like, we're doing all the things. You're doing all the things. And I just want to reiterate how important, and it is, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Like, there's so many ways we can go with this, and we're running out of time, of course, but like, just knowing that we need to be tending to ourselves in so many ways, on every single level of our lives, all of it.
And such a great point, because I think also when we talk about doing all the things, is that sometimes, even though we're doing all the things, we need to increase frequency of the things. We might need to add more of all the things. We might need to reorder or reorganize all the things that we do. Focus maybe even more on the mental health aspect. But yeah, I mean, it's such and that this is life, right? So people are like, well, how come my adjustments don't hold? It's called life, right? So, and I have a similar patient, Erica, where he's been a patient for almost 20 years, and same thing, stenosis and pain down the legs. And he'd been coming every 2 to 3 weeks. He's been coming twice a week now for 6 months. And we're doing laser, and I send him to another chiropractor who does decompression. And guess what? I was worried he was going to need surgery. And he's like, no surgery. We kept him out of the surgical room. So all the things doesn't mean continue at the same frequency. I think that's really important to recognize too, that we can say all the things, but then we have to start to determine, are all the things in the right order at the right time? Right.
And the body's always giving us signals, right? So the body is sending off warning signals. It's doing lots of different things. It's like, hello, hello, hello. And then because I get to be a regular part of her life, I'm like, okay, time out. Something more is happening here. Something more. And would she have come to that conclusion on her own? I don't know. We're not going to play hypotheticals like that. But it's like, when you can start to let a healthcare provider, somebody who's truly focused on your health, help you progress your health, you're going to be under our wings, and we'll be able to watch you progress through the years and know that, we're doing the right things. You are doing the right things. You aren't doing the right things. Like, let's switch up some things, and just constantly and continuously honoring what the spine and nervous system and the innate intelligence, and feeding it and fueling it and taking care of it, and feeding it and fueling it and taking care of it. And we don't get a shortcut. We don't get a workaround.
Yeah. There's no hacks, right?
And I'm grateful.
That term hack.
Yeah, I'm grateful. Like, so she says, oh, I'm on prednisone. And I'm like, okay, what's the plan with the prednisone? Okay, well, I started at 50 and now I'm going down to 40. Then I go to 30 for 2 days, then 20 for 2 days, and 10 for 2 days, whatever it is. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm totally cool with that. I'm happy because it's helped her regain. She's like, I literally couldn't even do one more thing in my day. She said, I just had to go to urgent care. I'm like, that's exactly where you should have gone.
Yeah.
Because was there even more going on? Who knows? And then so I said, well, she said, well, I don't know what I did. And I'm like, well, did you get a
That
couple of the jobs?
I know it's immediately what I was thinking. I
I
was like,
know. And the answer to that is on her. It's not me to even share, but it's like, what do we, okay, so that was been and done. And so now we're moving through this. And she's like, I don't know what happens at after 10 milligrams, after I wean myself down to that. And I'm like, that might be all you need. You just needed this get up over the hump, but anyway, we've just kept her out of, again, under the knife for a very long time, very long time. I've kept this other woman's been under care. I can look up her as well. She's had spinal stenosis since the very beginning. Her first visit was July 26th of 2005. She's in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of visits at this point, and we've kept her off the table. She's had stenosis since the very beginning.
Yeah.
She would be, and for search, she'd been in for a laminectomy by this point for certain.
Or
But we
fusion. They go
for
in and
sure.
put a cage around it. Like,
For
what?
sure. Yep.
No, we can fix
So
this.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
anyway,
want to respect your time. It
I
is
know.
1:48. Do you
I
have a minute to
know.
wrap up today, repeat today's
Yeah.
principle, and then give us next week's, and then are we going live on Tuesday instead of Thursday?
Oh gosh.
I know.
think so.
We'll let you guys know. Listen, keep an eye out because
Yeah.
I'm going to be out of town on Thursday.
We'll be
so
here. We're always here for
Yeah.
you can always rewatch too.
There you
So
go.
principle number 19, organic matter. The material of the body of a living thing is organized matter. There's a perfect organization always. Let's
Yeah.
respect that.
Love it.
Number 20 is innate intelligence. A living thing has an inborn intelligence within the body that's called innate intelligence. And I do kind of want to circle back maybe next week and talk a little bit more about thoughts. And of course, with May, we'll finish out mental health awareness. But I would like to just kind of bring a little bit of maybe a couple stories into of what we've seen over the years, being 20 years and 26 years into practice, like 46 years of collective practice of that part and how that works too. So
I think you're right. Yeah, we'll talk about a little bit more into the mental health aspect and yeah. So all right, well, thank you guys for being so patient with our technical issues today. We will see you next week. Keep an eye out. We'll either be here Tuesday or Thursday next week, but either way, we'll definitely see you. So thanks so much again for jumping into the chat and being so engaging, and we'll see you next week. Love you guys so much. Bye. See ya.